guys, welcome to another Smartpreneur Live with me, Tallulah. Nice to see you. Today we're going to be talking about managing staff to deliver on business goals with Nnanke Essien. It's going to be interesting. Staff, I know, can make or break your business. So if you're interested in how to get a hold of your staff, manage them well, this is the session for you. So let's, I'm waiting for you guys to get in here because no one's joined yet. And then we're going to start. Lovely. Hi, Winifred. Thank you for joining. Hello. Okay, so let us see if our guest is here. Hi, Precious. Hi. I know Precious is going to say you haven't pinned the topic. So let me pin the topic before he gives me a reminder. Hi, next to Grain Greek. Okay. Hello. Today we're talking about managing staff to deliver on business goals. Hi, I see some regulars. I see some people who are here twice in a week, every week. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for joining us. To deliver on business goals. My nails are long, so it's taking me a minute to type this. 1 second. I'm just gonna type this and then pin it, and then we can start goals. Oh, I spelled goals wrong. Sorry. I didn't start the wrong bit. Excuse. There's a typo on goals. Sorry about that. Okay, so let us see if our guest is here. Oh, she is. Oh, maybe before I add the wrong person. So she's going to be with us in just 1 minute. Hi.
Hello.
Sorry we came on a little bit late. I was trying to beat traffic to get back in time. Nice to see you.
Hey, nice to see you too. Let me just wipe up my camera a little bit. It looks a bit blurry.
Okay, slightly smudged, yeah.
Yes. Let's just do this. Just hold on a sec. Okay, a little bit better.
Yes,
Everything
that's brilliant. Thank you. So you are Nnanke Essien?
Yes.
Nnanke Essien, fantastic. So you're going to be talking just about managing staff to deliver on business goals. I can't wait for us to have this chat because I know that a lot of people complain to me about their staff bitterly day in, day out. They are not motivated. You tell them the same thing day after day. They keep making the same mistakes, Especially in Nigeria, staffing can be a big problem. So I feel like we're going to get a lot out of this session. We really have some people with us, and more are going to join as we delve deeper into this topic. But let me first off give your bio. Yeah.
That's fine. Thank you. Hey, Uche, what's up? How are you? Thank you for joining. I see my people here.
Oh, your people are here. Okay, so we're good to go. Your people are here. They come with questions, enthusiasm, encouragement, all that good stuff. Okay, so you are Nnanke Essien. You are a business improvement consultant, people, process, and culture expert, and HR advisor. You're the founder and lead strategist at CISA. Am I saying it correctly? It's CISA. Perfect. And experience improvement company focused on repositioning African brands for market takeover. I like the sound of market takeover. That's what we're here for. Great. Providing consultancy services for businesses and entrepreneurs and helping to optimize people management systems, internal processes, and culture while providing unique market strategies for niche domination. You also help to achieve improved employee performance. Can't wait to hear about that. Strengthened internal processes, business clarity, people management systems, process flow development, culture and strategy alignment, and ensure all internal and external stakeholders practices align with your businesses or company's overall values and revenue generation objectives.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. You do a lot.
It is a lot.
I take my hat off to you. I won't even know how you do all those things. So let's first let's start by talking about people. People are the lifeblood of the business. Without the staff, a one-man band very rarely gets very far. So what tips or strategies can you give for getting the best? Because, you know, here in Nigeria, we hear a lot of people, they don't want to work, they're not serious, they are lazy, they just come to you with their problems. Today is house rent, tomorrow it's something else. And there's so many negative stereotypes around staffing and, you know, more importantly, staff productivity. So how have you been able to help organizations to get the most out of their staff?
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much again for having me. And it is really brilliant that we are doing this. I like the fact that you're giving so much information to entrepreneurs of this day, because in as much as we've had experiences over the past, or we've had organizations that are reference points, a lot of organizations are still looking for the right information to help them, you know, build long-lasting and transgenerational businesses. I mean, myself and my friend Adira, that is on this platform, we spoke like 2 years ago or 3 years ago about transgenerational businesses, and it sounded strange in our mouths because we really didn't have enough references. But the fact that we started talking about it, it means that a lot of entrepreneurs are beginning to find ways or think about ways that they can build businesses that can live beyond them. And I think that's the right way to go. And the truth of the matter is that if I ask anybody here who has been an employer before or who is a business leader, just like you rightly said, everybody will complain. We don't have the right staff members. They don't perform well. They are not innovative. They just complain. They come to work and use their phones. You know, hardly would you have an organization where you have people who are focused. They enjoy the organization. They enjoy working. They are not stressed out, and they are constantly looking for ways to build themselves. So I would come to your question, but just a brief introduction.
Sure.
I know that when I joined an organization a few years ago, and it was almost like once you come into the organization, you would take off every good thing that you know and just imbibe fear, because the first person you see on the door would either yell at you or, you know, just be very hostile. You couldn't even trust anybody within your organization that you could tell something to. You couldn't trust anyone you could rely on as your team member and believe that they would genuinely be interested in your personality or the things that are going on with you. And the truth is that in those kind of environments, you cannot get innovation, because I would always mask my true self. You cannot get me to perform 100% because I would always mask my true self. So we need to change that narrative from the leadership. There's just so much that human resources can do if the leadership is not willing to shift the needle. If they're not willing to shift the needle. And the truth of the matter is that, again, like I mentioned before, if you ask any entrepreneur out there, their biggest wish is basically for them to have people who enjoy coming to work, who enjoy carrying out their tasks, and who literally align with the vision. But the question is that, how do they align with the vision if the vision is not clearly described? If the vision is not clearly understood? And if you ask yourself, what is really the right people? The right people are people who understand and who share your core values. Like I always tell people within my circle, you must first be a believer before you can be an achiever. If you're going to be in a relationship with somebody, you must first know the person, trust the person, love the person, understand what the person stands for, be excited about what the person stands for before you even start thinking about being in a close bond with that person. So for you to even become an achiever within your environment, you must believe in the dream. You must share in the passion. You must share in the company vision. You must understand the company's niche, their customers, what results mean to them, what solutions mean to them. And basically, you will be able to express your own highest capacity or skill within that environment where you're able to express your uniqueness. So back to your question, in being able to help entrepreneurs or help people within my environment get the right people, it starts first by understanding what the company stands for, what the company stands for. That is exactly where it starts. Because if you look at the Nigerian landscape and you see the amount of 9-to-5ers, people are easily drained, people are easily tired, people are not even as energized as you would expect them to be. And why? Sometimes it's because there's a tug of war between what they know and what they're expected to do. There is no clarity in terms of what the expectations are or what their roles and responsibilities are. There is no even clear vision of the organization itself. There is no proper onboarding as to what to be done. I've worked in an environment before whereby you had people who just joined the organization. They had no idea. I mean, it was a startup organization, and the idea then of the leadership was that if we get the right people with technical skills, they will get the work done. Fine, people might have technical skills, but if you don't understand what results mean in your environment, if they don't understand what it means to achieve according to your own set principles, or according to your clients, or according to the industry you belong to, they will not be able to perform at the extent you want them to. Their technical skills only have as much as they can do. So this means that as an individual, if you're looking to hire the right people, first of all, you must have a system where you can even attract the right people. And we'll talk about that in detail. You must have a system where you can attract the right people. You must have a system where you can hire the right people. You must also have a system where you can even develop the right people, where you can manage them, where you can rate their performance. You must have a system where you reward the right people and where you recognize the right people. And if you do not have these chances that you will get the right people, it's really strange, because I don't think I run away from that narrative that says we don't have people, we don't have the right people in the market space. We do, but we haven't been able to attract them because we are either too hasty in our recruitment structure, or we do not even understand the people that we want to get and what we expect them to do on the jobs. You know, many times if somebody says, oh, I need a job, the first thing you do, you run on Google, you look for a generic job description, you put it out there, and you get generic people. Honestly, you get generic people. So as leaders, we need to also start to become a bit more agile and a bit more flexible in the way that we search for people, in the way that we seek for people. Because in that way, if you put out the right person specification, you will get the right people. And in fact, I believe that your person specification literally chases away those that do not, that do not fit into the profile, and it only accommodates those that fit. So we need to start by looking at what does our recruitment or our attraction period, our attraction process look like, and being able to arrange that or make that sensible is what literally is able to get the right people. So I think that's one of my approaches.
Okay, that's really interesting. I can understand everything that you said, but I do have a few more sort of deeper insights I want to get from you. So, for example, a lot of people when they're hiring, let's take a managerial role. People find that when they hire for, like I'm talking within the SME context, people find that when they hire for a managerial role, often it's very difficult because obviously the manager is almost meant to be a clone of the owner. So what the owner would do, the owner is replacing their duties with the manager so they can have a broader overall view of the business. But oftentimes, it seems like even people who have the right qualifications, who seem very motivated at the start, aren't often able to drive through the vision. I feel like with a lot of the staff issues that I hear about are mainly due to or mainly circle around micromanagement. People feel I've told this person what to do, they know what to do, but I'm still having to almost do it alongside them, even though they have the if it's a university qualification, they have that, they've had the training, whereas and a lot of SME owners I've spoken to tend to say, oh, if I hire an expat, I will just hire an expat because I know that I wouldn't have all these same issues with an expat. So in terms of, what would you say in that sort of situation, which is fairly common? How can SME owners incentivize, their middle managers to really take on responsibility for the business? Because oftentimes it feels as if people are not willing to take ownership of their role and just do it, oh, it's a salary paying job, let me just do it. But there's not that ownership and that responsibility. So is it a matter of incentivizing through salary? Is it a matter of incentivizing through things like pension schemes, like the multinationals? What are some of the concrete strategies that can be used to get people more plugged in, more motivated, and more excited about their jobs?
All right, so this is a very valid question, and it's very common in Nigeria. You have a lot of organizations who they just believe once I hire people for their technical skills, they can get things done. But again, I go back to my conversation of drilling deep to really what you want as an organization. What does results mean to you as a company? And I look at it from this point of view. You have, like, let me use an example of an atom. You have a tiny atom, right here in the middle. And you want this atom to grow into like a cell, or you want it to grow into the way you want it, a business, right? There are several pointers that are going to make this atom grow. And the several pointers might mean that maybe you have better customer experience, you have people who can manage individuals and drive them to getting results, you have X, Y, you have those 5 pointers that can drive this atom to grow. You, as a leader, you must identify what those goals are. Because if you can't explain it to me as a middle manager, there is no way in heaven I'm going to be able to drive the performance that I want my team members to get, or the results I want them to get. There's no way that's going to happen. But many times you find that entrepreneurs or business leaders don't even have the patience to explain what is in their own minds enough for people to understand. And many times you don't understand if you really want to create a clone of yourself, or you want somebody who can judge. Because think about it critically. A lot of business owners are very transactional. All they do is that result, result, result. And what do you expect? We're in a country where we have been taught from inception that you have to cram and cram and cram and cram and cram to deliver results. We are the ones that have been taught that if you don't know something, you are no lojo. You understand? And your teachers will flog you and flog you and flog you until you can get the results out. So when you become a leader, what do you think you're going to do? You're going to flog and flog and flog and flog and flog people. And when you flog them to the end and there is no emotional connection between that dream that you have and them, then you find that you have people who are not in tandem with your organization. So what does your brand really stand for? And this may sound very far-fetched, but it's the honest truth. What does your brand really stand for? What is the result that you really want to get? Even if you don't understand it in tangible terms, what will the outcome look like? Because with the outcome, you can understand the kind of people you want on your team. Because you might have people who are largely visionaries. All they do is that they come up with ideas. 10 out of the time they're talking, they're bringing up ideas. You have people who are integrators. All they know how to do is to integrate people. You have people who are great communicators. You have people who are great at think about it, communication. You have people who are great at research. You have people who are great at building relationships. You have people who are great at selling. So by the time you understand exactly and precisely what the right structure is for your organization, then you start to hire people who have these salient skills in them, because that's pretty much the result that you want. And if you communicate to your guy, you know what, in 3 years, I want us to be known as the best XYZ in town. He runs to town with you because you've given him the leverage to be able to identify how can I drive these skills with my staff members. You're not tying his hand and saying, I want it done this way. You are the result person. Fine, stay in your result zone. But give me as a media manager an opportunity to be able to drive result the way I know how to. And one of it is that you can start to bring people into problem solving. A lot of times you find that managers are up there making decisions by themselves, sitting in the boardroom and making decisions. And they forget that there are people who have brains or who have cells in their brains who are in the lower rung. And they never even bring them into decision making. And when you do that, you stifle growth, you stifle innovation, you stifle things that go on. So the problem is not really down here. The problem is leadership. The problem is leadership.
I see where you're coming from, but I think because I'm an entrepreneur as well. So on the entrepreneur end, I totally agree with you that you definitely should give people the opportunity to feel like they're contributing and they're having their ideas and they're not kind of being boxed in as to how results are achieved. But I also feel like in Nigeria, we do have a bit of a staffing problem in terms of people always want to be incentivized. People always, they'll say, oh, give commission, do this. And without those very juicy incentives, it seems sometimes very difficult to get people to act.
Absolutely. There are several ways that you can incentivize people rather. Because, first of all, if I was going to do a proper payroll structure, a proper compensation structure, I'll be looking at what is average in the industry and I'll be managing that vis-a-vis. And I'll also determine what my pay philosophy is. So do I want to be a lag in the market? Do I want to lead the market? Or do I just want to be at the surface, right? Mm-hmm. And pretty much the conversation around compensation, I believe, comes after you have found the right person. Right.
Okay.
The right person that mirrors what you want within your organization. That is where the whole concept of, okay, how can I then bring you in and incentivize you? Of course, the organizations will give you shares within your organization. The organizations will give you the opportunity to own a part of the company. There are some that give you stakes in the company. There's some, it depends on what really is obtainable. Minimum standard being that, okay, I can provide you with group life, I can provide you with pensions, I can provide you with pay, I can provide you with discretionary pay at the end of the year, I can provide you with XYZ. These are in industry standards, or would I say best or living practice. But then you also need to determine what is my pay philosophy as an organization, and where do I want to stand in this zone. Now, beyond that is also being able to give me the opportunity to drive people. If you look at the Maslow's hierarchy, right?
Of needs,
where money is no longer a motivation for you. It is now how much relationships you can build and how much influence you have with decision making within your organization. That might be something that can drive people at that particular phase. So even when you're hiring a manager, you must identify what really will motivate this person to work. And there's nothing that stops you from asking. I have a guy that I know that pretty much he said, I'm going to be bringing funds or making funds accessible within your organization. His role is very clear. But you know what? For every amount I bring over $1 million, this is how much I want to get. The company now said to him, you know what, we're never going to give you that. We'll give you times 2 of what you ask. Bring the money first. Motivation. Do you understand? Motivation.
I understand.
I want to bring it down to an example I always use, because this is one of my most pleasant examples when it comes to explaining these things to organizations. I used to have a client in Abuja. She's a tailor, right? She owned an organization where she has a lot of tailors within her disposal. And you know fully well that these ones are not they're not like as educated as we are, right? You know, they're not as educated as we are. So she was looking for a way she could pretty much help them to perform better within the organization. So what we did was that we created an accountability chart for them, more or less like a leaderboard, right? So everybody within that understood what the minimum expectation was. Minimum expectation is that we want you to create 2 dresses. Now, 2 dresses doesn't just mean you should sew whatever you want to sew. 2 dresses means that it must satisfy the need. It must satisfy the excitement of our clients. And that means that every seam must be sewn well. Now, they have videos around the organization. I made them to create videos that shows what every seam going into every dress means. Right? And at the end of the day, the ultimate thing is that every tailor who makes a dress will take a picture with the client. There's a certain type of smile that a client must have. Once everybody sees that, you can put it on your leaderboard and you say, you know what, this person had the satisfied look, and that was the end result. So you hear when I say tying results to the people you're hiring. So, and it was so native that everybody within that organization could understand it. Now that you know what the standard is, the next phase really was that if you go above and beyond that particular standard, you get a commission. Now, that commission will be tied to something you really want. That commission can be tied to your children's school fees. That commission will be tied to maybe paying for your health bills. That commission will be tied to XYZ. Now, for one of the staff, the commission was actually, she was working towards the commission so she could actually do her introduction, her wedding introduction.
Wow.
That was her motivation.
That's definitely a big incentive.
I'm telling you. So each time she kept on doing above and beyond, and she kept going ahead of the leaderboard, her money continued to increase. And at the end of the month, she was able to get a voucher, which she used to buy all the drinks for her introduction. She would not stop talking about her boss to every single person you can imagine. She would not stop talking about it. And every other person too was, you know, the healthy competition came on within the environment.
Of course,
that they all wanted to also access, you know, those kind of things. So when you start the month, they will ask you, what is your most pressing need? And she'll say this, that. And she'll say, you know what, for you to get this, you must give me this. So in other words, it's that same circle, that same atom I was trying to explain. You know, it's that same circle of consciousness. You know fully well that this is what the organization desires. And so if I get it, I get more, right? Now, some girls came to make my hair a few days ago, right? And they were talking about the fact that they didn't like that their boss said to them that every time they call in sick, they must bring in a doctor's report. And I was listening to them. They didn't know I understood what they were saying, but they were just talking. And one of them said something that pricked my heart. She said, is it that they don't trust us, or they feel we'll be lying about our health? I felt very bad just hearing that. Now, guess what? These girls are people that stay 5 hours, literally standing, twisting. So if I really come to you in 2 weeks and say I have broken down, am I really lying? Am I really lying? Now,
so you're saying employers also need to be more empathetic towards there's a two-way street.
Yes. Halfway through it, these girls were like, in Yoruba, they were like, hey, God, and we are hungry, but we don't know how to tell this lady that we are hungry. So of course, I pretended like I didn't understand what they were saying, but I picked up my bottle and drank some water, and I asked them, would you want water, or would you want a drink? And they said, thank God. In Yoruba, they were like, oh, thank God. Now, how did she even know that's what we wanted? And I gave them a drink. Now, imagine if their boss had given them a little care pack, even if it's apple, you know, and yogurt in a small pouch. If these girls enjoyed doing their jobs, do you understand? They didn't need any further incentives. They enjoyed doing their jobs. But just a little push, a little nudge there to ensure that they consistently produce the results. In fact, I was shocked to say one of them was like, she's 25 now, but she knows that at 27 she would have her own company. But she doesn't want to be doing this to her own staff. That is somebody who has not gone to school like me and you. So this is can range all the way from, you know, smaller organizations to brick and mortar organizations, to organizations that have more, people that have more degrees, basically, people that are more. It can range from different organizations, and incentives mean different things to different people. So you cannot just wake up and decide that you want to give an incentive that does not concern your people or that does not interest your people. It won't make sense in the long run. You won't even get the value from your organization. You won't get the value from your people. So you must also basically understand the demographic of people that you have in your organization, the people that you have there, what matters most to them in that.
What's going to motivate
and
them?
Then it's tied to their deliverables, tied to their day-to-day tasks, and you'll find yourself having people who are vested in your organization.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That's really, really interesting. And I love the fact that you mentioned that employers always have should be more empathetic towards their staff as well. I think sometimes as employees, we always see, like, we just, like you said, want results, want results. And sometimes that human element is overlooked, like the example of the braiders that you gave. But so important just to have empathy with your staff and just imagine what they're going through as well while still wanting those results. Okay, awesome. So let's talk about what the COVID era. I call it the COVID era, but let's talk about the pandemic, I guess, that we've been going through since the start of the year. And what it's meant is that a lot of businesses have been forced to downsize because they just can't afford to keep all their staff on. So what is there a way to downsize? If there's somebody watching this right now and they own a business and they're going to have to let go of some staff just to keep the business afloat, what is there a right way to downsize?
So that then depends. There are organizations who have used this period as an excuse just to downsize. They really don't need to. And for those organizations, if you really don't need to, please don't, because it doesn't make sense to put people under undue pressure or undue stress. But if you really have to, there are several ways to do this. Now, as you rightly said, both of us are entrepreneurs. We also have people within our space who are entrepreneurs. If you have to absolutely downsize, there are people within your niche who needs, specific needs, particularly within a certain period of time. What you can do pretty much is that you can refer your staff members. I mean, you've trained them, you've groomed them, they are good enough, but you just can't have them at this time. But there are other people within your space who can keep them for at least 2 months or can have short-term projects for them. You can create like a reference program for your staff members who are leaving at this particular time. Now, there are certain organizations too. There was one particular reference that I really loved, and this particular CEO left some of the work tools with the staff members so that they can resource themselves and be able to find extra jobs. I mean, they're just palliatives that you can do. You can also pay them off, like literally pay them everything that they are due, not just the fact that but pay them what they are due so that they can use that to even start off, right? And some other organizations have created opportunities where they can have like 2 days in a week, 1 day in a week, where you're literally working, but you're not working full time, but you can get someone said crafting. Okay, so but you can get solutions that that fit your organization, but you might not be expending a lot. So people can work like 2 days in a week, 3 days in a week. You can find referral programs for your organization, for your team members. You can even stop working from your organization, like stop working from your physical location and work from home, thereby saving some money on utilities, saving some money on building, saving some money on things like that. So that can also be some ways you can let go of people easily. But if you sincerely have to let go of people, do it in the most humane way possible. I mean, the conversation that will go on after you have let them go is more or less like, these people knew exactly how to treat a human being. And you need that again for you to be able to reposition your brand out there. You need that sort of conversation to continue to drive the positive notes about your organization. Oh, this person was able to, this company, this is what they did for me. This is how much they gave to me. I have no organizations where they just call you and they say, unfortunately, your effective date is today or your last day is today. And the person is confused, like, really, what have I done? Then you give them and say, oh, it is COVID. But the person knows that, really, to be honest, it is not COVID because, I mean, the company is resourced enough to be able to manage and accommodate me. So if it's not fully well that it is performance, give people the reason to say, okay, this is performance and we cannot really afford to carry dead weight, but this is what we can do at this particular period to help you to ease, the burden and ease the pain, and let them go nicely. Because there are people who leave organizations and their biggest concern and biggest worry is, why did they let me go? And because they don't have that closure, when they go to their new organization, they carry that baggage with them. And they can't perform because they believe that, oh, there was something that they didn't do right. And nobody was human enough to be able to tell them that this is what I have done. So if you want to let go of people, particularly at this time, let go of them in the best way possible. And I mean, another thing is that you can help them access some trainings that can help them increase their skills, so that if they leave, at least they can do some small jobs here and there, even if it is creating websites or branding or consulting or creating documents or doing quality assurance. I know some people who are looking for staff members who can just help them to go and site see or site view. I know some drivers who can drive you over the weekend, so short opportunities like just help them to be able to access the next level versus just letting them. And it's a good thing that you mentioned this because myself and Sega, you had him a few days ago, we were working with a big organization that let go of hundreds of people at a point in time with no further incentive, And one of the things that we had said to leadership was that we cannot allow people to go out like this without giving them a reason. They come to work and they realize that they are not able to log into their computers. It is the most inhumane way possible to let somebody go, because again, closure is important. Being empathetic, being able to show that you understand, but I mean, the situation on ground cannot accommodate or cannot help you, to continue to within that organization. So that's pretty much what I would say.
Okay. I love that. Everything you said, empathy is the one word that I've taken away from all of it. Be empathetic and put yourself in that person's shoes as well. If it was you, how would you want to be treated? How would you, want to be let go? So I feel like I'm learning so much today. We have a ton of questions, but before I go to the questions, I want to ask you about multi-skilled staff, because I know a lot of people who are watching are in the SME sector, like I said, and maybe they can't afford to hire 5, 8, 10 people. They can just maybe afford to hire 1 or 2 people, but they need those 1 or 2 people to be multi-skilled in terms of being able to fill a variety of roles within their organization. So how can one attract multi-skilled staff? Or if it's not about attract, like you said, you can grow people. How can you grow a member of staff to become multi-skilled?
All right. So this is a very interesting question, and it's a very useful one, because I've been privileged to work in organizations that are startups. And with that, everybody becomes everything. In fact, myself, I was once HR manager, admin manager, procurement. I was everything in one. And
Wow.
Again, it's pretty much about your interviewing process and your ability to ask questions that relates to your current issues. So asking real-time questions versus just asking generic questions about the person's skills and the person's talent. So what is your ability to be able to multitask? Would you really have a culture shock coming from a structured environment to a non-structured environment? I cannot tell you how important that question is. And when people think about it, they tell you the honest truth. They'll be like, you know what? It had happened to me once where I was able to do X, Y, Z, and I stepped back from the situation, and this is how I handled it. So people will tell you, I don't have the leverage or the power to be able to do that. And so people can be that truthful. And if you find that you're hitting a roadblock with those people, give them an actual situational question. So you have an organizational team that is barely just starting. You don't have any team member. You don't have anybody working with you. What will be your strategy in the first 30 days? What will you do? Sensible people will tell you, what, I will do an audit of the system. I will find out what the things that are missing within the environment. I will work on developing. So you want to find people who have skills with building. You might not see that immediately in the resume, but you will see 1 or 2 lines that say started the department XYZ. Or you will see statements like worked with minimal supervision. And for me, I don't just take those things at face value. I ask you questions for every single skill or strength you mention within your CV, because it's important to me, particularly within that environment. And like I mentioned before, there are people who naturally are visionaries. So if you need visionaries on your team, you're asking questions with real-time problems.
Okay.
Right? If you want people that have the ability to lead and manage, but still be able to roll off their sleeves and work, you are asking people questions as it relates to leading and managing yourself, pretty much without management supervision. If you need people who are good at operations, day-to-day processes, putting together tasks, providing the right structure, and still ensuring that you are asking questions around, putting together processes. Like I interviewed someone today, and they kept saying, "Oh, the strategy." And I said to him, can you break down strategy to me into bite-sized action plans? And he couldn't. So I knew fully well that all he knew was Google-related information, and he couldn't break it down into actual bits. I've interviewed lawyers before, and I asked them, okay, when it comes to this industry, what are the regulators or regulatory infringements we need to be looking out for? But then they will say, I only know about my industry. That person cannot work in my environment. So you might have the technical skills, but what my pressing needs at that time is foundational. It's foundational. And if you're not able to get me at that point, your technical skills cannot take me further. So if you need people who are very good in selling, you're looking at the ability to be able to have the gift of the gap. How are they able to convert? How are they able to sell water? How are they able to sell snow? And these are things that you're looking for. Now, so the technical skills will get you in the door. To be honest, I will not run it like that. The technical skills will get you in the door. In fact, there are even some new hires who are just finishing university. When you look at their track record, being able to manage maybe an SCG or church or an activity within their school, or manage things within their NYSC, these people have some sort of leadership traits that you can build on. So that means that even within your organization too, you must not run away from skilling people. And I mean being able to skill them in thinking, in the proper way of growing. Because one thing I find in organization is that people don't know how to climb the ladder in terms of really thinking, in terms of really understanding, in terms of really growing. People don't know how to. And organizations don't also understand how to match or marry those behavioral gaps or fill those gaps that they have noticed. And so you find that as time progresses, they have used every single thing they know technically, and then there's nothing left. So organizations must also find ways to be able to consistently pour into their staff so they can pour into the teaming organization problems and issues that they might be going through. So that's one way that you can see.
Okay, that was brilliant. I really totally agree with you. I love the fact that you said, the interview process is so important in terms of not just taking answers at face value, but drilling down, asking more questions. Because I mean, in the example that you gave, the guy mentioned strategy. So strategy kind of sounds impressive, like, oh, this guy is a strategic person. He can strategize. But because you actually said, okay, what strategy specifically, you were able to ascertain that he actually was not able to give you more information. So I think that's such a valuable tip that you've just given there. So thank you for sharing. So it's not a question.
Yeah, so
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that point you made is very important. Being able to even identify what the salient problem is, because you don't just hire people. For instance, the role I was interviewing for was a branding role, and the person was supposed to kind of create a brand message that was good enough for people to attract the kind of bidding that the organization wanted to go for. It was a simple mandate. And the manager is like, this is the person I want. Somebody who can translate our bids or can translate our brand into bids. That's pretty much what they want. So when I was looking for the right people, I had keywords for searching for the right person. And then when this people came, I asked questions specifically related to how to build the right brand for bidding. Because people who work in development is understand what I'm saying, but that's exactly where those people are resourced. And it was only strategy the guy knew. He couldn't help me break it down. So unfortunately, it didn't work.
Yeah, no, I think it's amazing because I think sometimes you get CVs are very, this one has a very attractive CV. It's almost like they're half hired. You're like, oh, this person went to this school, these grades, this, But I think what you're saying, that's really struck a chord with me is that it's more important to connect with the person one-on-one, speak with them, and find out who they are at their core and what their competencies are, in terms of just being impressed by what is on their CV or how they come across. Because if you want to do a job, you want to do it properly, and you want to be able to check and verify during that interview process. So it's taken away lots from today's session. So it's now time for our Q&A with people who are watching us. So if anyone has any questions, please do submit your questions. I'm going to check the question box now. I don't think anyone submitted any in the question box. No, there's none there. You guys, I'm waiting on your questions. Someone said, Mr. Sega was awesome. You're awesome too. Someone else has said, leaders must develop the ability to have difficult conversations. I agree. If you guys have questions, just please do drop them, or I'll continue to ask my own questions. And you guys know I have a ton of questions. So then someone else repeated your words. You must first be a believer before you can be an achiever. They put #word. So you're striking a chord with everybody who's watching us. So I want to ask, actually, since no one's come up with their own question yet, what can SMEs learn from corporations? Because corporations, are every SME's dream is to become a corporation, to have huge budgets, strategy. Corporations just have everything going for them. So what can people in the SME sector take away? What lessons can we learn from the corporate sector?
Okay, so one of the things that you can learn from them is that the corporate sector has a tunnel view of where they want to be. The corporate section also understands that they can't do it by themselves and they need partners. A lot of SMEs want to be CEO, manager, blah, 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 blah. There's just so much that you can do. There is just so much that you can do. The corporates understand the concept of core values. I mean, it was in this COVID season, I had the opportunity to sit in a meeting that a CEO of a global corporation was having a town hall meeting with the staff members. It was 15 pure juice. This guy was sat in his kitchen and he had on his shirt, just regular shirts, and he was talking about the core and the heart of people. He was talking about the issues a lot of parents have right now, being moms, being school teachers, he was talking about practical issues that each and every one. He didn't talk about the business. He didn't focused on the humans. He was focused on emotions. He was focused on the people. And corporations understand the concept of human beings. They understand that you must have good people in your corner for you to have great organizations going. You must. I know some of their team members within the organization that are awake at 1 a.m. They're not working because they are slave drivers. They are working because they want the result to be achieved. The corporation, the organization is so transparent that people understand what is in and out in the organization. They're so transparent. And with that, people can key into the vision. They can key into the core values. They can understand what the 10-year target is and where they fit. And this is something that you must also understand, where they fit in the long run, where they fit in that organization. And if the organization has not been able to define what the vision is and share it with the organization and share with their team members, it'll be almost impossible for them to be able to for you to be able to deliberately think about the opportunities and how to serve the market and how to deliberately focus on it. So one of the things you can also learn is being able to drive the conversation about your vision, about your focus, about your core values. Another thing that you must learn is that you must get it out of your head and put it on paper. Why does my company exist? What is the purpose? What is the cost? And this is not just, I'm not just saying cost as in cost. It is, what am I trying to solve? What am I trying to be? What is the narrative that I want to have within the next couple of years? What is the narrative I want to have in the organization? Where do I want? Because that outcome will drive every single activity that you do. It will be the lens with which you hire people, the lens with which you develop, do everything, the way you even develop business. It will be the lens with which you do all of this. So being able to clarify the reason why you're in business is very, very essential. And these are things that you can learn. Now, corporations are not also hungry for, they're not also immediately hungry for the Naira and Kobo. They are, don't get me wrong. But they're not immediately hungry for the Naira and Kobo. They are pretty much hungry about impact, positioning, and getting it right, within their niche and getting it right within their niche. And so because of that, you find more that they have more long-term plans. They have more long-term plans in developing people, in managing people, in leading people, in driving people, in being able to define the results. I mean, as HR, I always ask questions. Okay, how do you manage performance? How do you do this? How do you do that? And I see that it is pretty much tied to their top 5. Or pretty much tied to their top 6. So you also must have your top 5. You don't have to be, you don't have to be confident. You must have your top 5. You must understand what are my strategic objectives or my strategic goals. And then who are the people? What are the people? Who are the customers who will help me get there? And so put them into perspective. So stop acting like a market woman most of the time. Just make sure that it is pretty much more aligned, pretty much more straightforward, that anybody who comes within your environment can understand. And as an organization too, I dare say, capture your wins. Capture your wins. And the reason I say so is that when you start to hire people, they have a reference point. They can see a future of where they want to go. My boss has done it before. I can say to you that one of the longest serving organizations that I've worked in, the reason I stayed there was the boss's resilience. He never says no for an answer. This guy did not go to school like me and you, but he never takes no for an answer. And he will find every way to get it done as ethically as possible. That was one thing that kept me in that organization. So always communicate with your staff, share your wins, let them have a vision about who their boss is and how they can even connect to him, be like him, and even achieve better results within your organization.
That's amazing. I'm so inspired. And I know everybody who's watching is inspired. Someone has said, Macarissa said, please let us know, is the CEO Nigerian, the one you mentioned? He deserves a badge of honor because what we hear here is cost and bottom line. So was the CEO Nigerian, the one you said you have?
No. I thought it's a global corporation.
Global, okay. Well,
but they have a division in Nigeria. I won't call the name, but they have a division in Nigeria. He's not, he's actually Irish. He's Irish.
Okay. I guess that ties in with what she's saying, because she says, all she hears from her Nigerian CEO is about cost and bottom line.
Cost. We must be human first. I'm telling you, your staff members will understand. True. If you pay attention, but let me tell you something. Somebody sent me a message just now in an organization that I pretty much did some consultancy for, and they reduced their salary this COVID period, and it's been 3 months now, and the salaries are still reduced. And the person that was lead with me asked the question. He said, "Can you not do a survey to ask people the impact of the reduction that you have done?" It pierced my heart. Because the management doesn't want to hear that. As far as they are concerned, the staff members have coped for the last 3 months. So yeah, it goes.
Wow. Again,
and for people to be looking for jobs in COVID, you must tell you that your organization is not good. Or even looking for jobs and saying, I will get out of here. It must tell something about your leadership. It must tell something about your organization, your culture. It must tell you a lot about your organization. And these are things you need to find out and work on if you want to stay long in the business.
Business, yeah. I love the fact you said it's not always about naira and kobo, because in terms of longevity, it really isn't. And sometimes people can be, well, entrepreneurs can be short-sighted and just be thinking money, money, money. We need to make this money. But in terms of, you know, growing the business and growing your staff, it's not always about that. Well, Nnanke, thank you so much. We've come to the end. I don't want Instagram
somebody
to cut
asked a
us off.
question. Sorry.
We only have another 3 minutes, but we'll take one more.
Somebody said, would you say incentives contribute greatly or majorly?
Yeah, would you say incentives contribute greatly or majorly to push staff?
Okay, so I would say yes, and I would say no. Again, if the incentives don't align to what I like, what I want, what drives me, it will not, right? So you must be able to reward and recognize performance, and you must be able to reward and recognize performance in a way that makes sense. So for instance, if your organization says to me, I want to give you a night in a cool hotel with your husband, for what? It doesn't mean anything to me. Do you understand? But if you tell me that, oh, you know what, I would pay for you to attend XYZ training with MIT. Oh yeah, thank you very much. Or you tell me in a few days that, you know what, you can get 2% of every 2% performance bonus for every business you bring into the business. Of course, that would drive me to do stuff. So of course, performance incentives go a long way. I mean, there's no human being who doesn't want to get a pat on the back for doing something good, or who doesn't want to be recognized. So you can tie that to a reward, but your reward must align with your demographic within your organization and with the things that drive people, that make them excited. There's nothing that's stopping you from having the reward interview. Just understanding the person, understanding what drives them the most, and getting them incentives along those lines. Yes.
Fantastic. We have another 3 minutes. Someone said, what can be done in your experience to deal with low employee morale?
It's hard. The truth of the matter is that, and I will not lie to you, it is difficult. If you have lost trust with your employees, it'll be difficult for you to get it back, right? It'll be difficult for you to get it back. But there are certain things that you can do. People say TGIF, but I don't think TGIF does anything if people are not excited. Genuinely sit with them and communicate with them. Talk to them. I can tell you for free that there are a lot of businesses that they haven't sat down to talk to their staff since COVID-19. And they will start to trust you again, because now you have heard them and you're doing something about it. A lot of companies will say, oh, do focus group, do service. You do service, but you never do anything with the service. Nobody will trust you, right? So it is having to be human, like you've been saying all the while. Sit with your staff members, communicate to them, find out what their biggest struggles and their biggest pain points are. And when, as an organization, be transparent about the solutions or the support that you're going to be giving to them. And with that, you find that people start to trust you a bit. They'll be a bit skeptical, but if you keep at it, you will find that you begin to build trust within your environment as well.
Okay. Fantastic. So someone said TGI Friday speaks to the stomach, not the mind. Hey.
Yes, now.
Honesty. Okay, one last question. This is actually the last question we can take, guys, because I don't want Instagram to just cut off in the middle of what we're saying. So it's Macariosh, and she says, how can business owners retain a motivated staff in this COVID-19, especially when there may be need to cut down on compensation?
So the honest truth is that, first of all, I will tell you the approach that I used. First of all, like I said, is upfront communication. If you tell me truthfully that, babe, you know what, I cannot afford to do this right now. You're one of my best staff. I want to keep you in here, but I cannot afford to do this right now. I will respond to you. I'll respond positively. I know organization I went from communicating with their staff and telling them this is what we can do at this time. Please share your concerns, share your opinions, and we'll find bodies that can help you through it. The second thing they did was that they found every free training online to help their staff. Trainings from LBS, from KPMG. They found different trainings to continue to help their staff members to grow themselves at this point. They send data to their staff members. They send data, they send call credits to their staff so that they don't feel the pinch of this situation. They couldn't do more than that. But the little that they did was very appreciated, because people see what we have done. This was our financial project we've been able to achieve. There are smaller things that we can do at this particular point in time that can help us help you, and this is what they've done. And this organization still has very motivated staff, and because the helpline is open, whenever they have issues, they go there and they discuss, and somebody takes action immediately. So it is not enough for you to say, oh, you know, literally communicate, hear from them, take action, and ensure that your actions are transparent. I think that's pretty much what I can say.
Fantastic. Awesome. Nnanke, thank you so much for joining us. People I'm sure are going to want to connect with you, come over to your Instagram and learn more. I feel like this has been a master class in, motivating staff and also in how SMEs can also navigate this whole COVID period that we're still in, but hopefully by God's grace I'll find a vaccine and we can be out of it very, very soon. We appreciate you. Thank you everyone for watching. I will be back on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Don't forget to catch us on TVC at between 5:45 to 6:15 on Saturday evening. Thank you guys so much. And the replay of this will be up, of course, on the Smartpreneur IGTV. Thank you. Thanks, Nnanke. Bye, guys. Take care.
Bye.
Fantastic talking to you. Bye.
Bye.